All right, so now we're going to talk about supplements and nutrients that are popular and or important for constipation. So now we're going to discuss fiber supplements. So a question that many of you have is, should your child take a fiber supplement if they're constipated? And my answer to this is probably not. While we know that fiber intake is really important to having regular bowel movements, we also know that high fiber foods have a ton of other awesome nutrients that support the health of our intestinal tract. And this is why in most of the literature studying adults, high fiber foods typically are better at improving constipation than a matched fiber supplement. So a fiber supplement that's like the same amount as a food that they're comparing it to. So because of this, both the North American Society for Pediatric Gastroenterology, Hepatology, and Nutrition, or NASPGHAN, and the European Society of Pediatric Gastroenterology, Hepatology, and Nutrition, ESPGHAN, do not universally recommend fiber supplements for children struggling with chronic functional constipation. However, a 2018 review study in the journal Nutrients did conclude that there may be a positive effect of fiber supplementation for kids with functional constipation and irritable bowel syndrome, or IBS, but the variety of types of fiber, which matters a lot when it comes to supplementing, and dosing is just too wide to make any conclusions. The authors of this study also point out that fiber supplementation can make constipation worse in some situations. And finally, the authors of this paper mentioned that there's just too little research on fiber supplementation in kids with IBS. So might it be helpful if your kid has IBS? Maybe. We don't really know yet, and if your child is someone who falls into this category, then you should definitely be working with a pediatric dietitian, pediatrician, or gastroenterologist on how to approach fiber supplementation and what the appropriate dosage is, and you should most definitely not be making decisions off of my YouTube video. Next up, magnesium. So magnesium is great for constipations for many reasons. It can positively affect hormones that aid in the movement of the contents of your intestines. It can help draw water into the colon, and increasing intakes of high magnesium foods is just a great choice for kids with constipation and pretty much for everybody else. And bonus is these foods that are high in magnesium often have lots of fiber in them. So examples are avocado, spinach, most whole grains, wheat bread, figs, nuts, and seeds such as pumpkin seeds, almonds, cashews, black beans, edamame, dark chocolate, peanut butter, and fortified breakfast cereal. So while magnesium supplementation is an option for children with constipation, there may be better options, and magnesium supplementation is definitely not without risks and side effects. In really young kids, hypermagnesia, or dangerously high magnesium levels, is a concern with this therapy. So to clarify, increasing magnesium through foods is great for most kids, including those with constipation. It's not going to cure their constipation, but it certainly can't hurt. And magnesium through supplements may be helpful for kiddos who are struggling with chronic constipation, but I do not ever recommend initiating a magnesium supplement in your kids without chatting with your child's medical provider. And keep in mind that magnesium supplementation is likely not the most evidence-based and safest option for a child who's struggling with functional constipation. So next is pre and probiotics. So the research tells us that changes in the microbiome are associated with constipation, and that people who suffer from chronic constipation often have different gut bacteria than those who do not struggle with chronic constipation. What we don't know is if probiotic supplements help. It's possible, but we can't say for certainty if supplementing a certain type of bacteria helps with constipation. And as a side note, these probiotic supplements have a variety of bacterial strains and a variety of combination of bacterial strains, and they're not always really well studied. So the effect of these probiotics on someone who is struggling with constipation is very likely dependent on the type of bacteria and the amount of bacteria, which varies hugely across probiotic brands. So I'm not going to recommend any supplements in any of my video courses with the exception of maybe vitamin D in infants, and that's totally not related to constipation, because these recommendations need to be made on an individual basis. However, Including more fermented foods in your child's diet, such as kefir, yogurt, sauerkraut, that can certainly be a great choice in general and an awesome addition to your child's diet if they struggle with constipation, and like magnesium for any other kid too. Other supplements that you might find at a health food store or online, like MCT oil in high doses, alleviate constipation, but they do this by causing diarrhea. And these are not recommended by most healthcare providers to alleviate constipation because there are way better options available with less side effects. So we're gonna switch here from supplements or nutrients that might help with constipation to supplements that can cause constipation. So iron supplements are known to cause constipation in kiddos, so keep that in mind if your child is starting an iron supplement. That's not a reason to not start it, but just keep that in mind if you start to see constipation pop up after your kid has initiated their iron supplement. If your child is on an iron supplement, they are likely and should be working with a medical provider. So if they're struggling with constipation, there may be some ways that your provider can adjust the supplement to help with this. If this is the case with your kid, make sure to reach out to their pediatric dietitian or pediatrician.